Hey guys, it's Dinosaur King. Welcome back to another Beyblade X unboxing. Today we're checking out the latest release from Ticera, that being Ticera Press. So first off, have a look at the packaging. It's the standard BX booster packaging. So we got a nice image of Ticera Press going up against Cobalt Dragoon of all things. I think that's Cobalt Dragoon. Actually, that's Impetrict. It always look the same to me. Anyways, BX44 Ticera Press. Side, just Beyblade stuff. On the side, it's a defense type. On the back of the box, it just talks about the bay in question. That's the guy that owns the bay. I just can't remember who he's named, sorry. So we got the Ticera Press blade. For the ratchet, we have a brand new ratchet known as M-85, and just goes over how M-85 works. And then for the bit, we have Bound Spike. So, yeah, pretty exciting. So let's get into this. So yeah, this is a booster. So you are just getting the blade itself. So you're not getting a launcher, which is perfectly fine. I mean, I already have enough launchers anyway, so I'm not gonna even cut. Now I feel like a dum-dum. There we go. Oh, come on. Get out. There we go. Still love how they're doing the boxes now. They're kind of just like just doing that with them instead of using tape. Makes it a lot easier to get into these. So, of course, we have the skill up guide. We'll actually have a quick look at this, actually. I don't normally do this, but I figured why not for this. Let's have a look. Okay, so the skill up guide just talks about launching. So the recommended combo they are suggesting here is, of course, the Ticera Press blade with 470 in Gear Rush. Pretty interesting. Then talks about Beyblade Subsidy and a little preview of the next one, which is obviously Pegasus Blast. And we're also getting Cerberus Flame, so I'm not sure why they put that there when they've already revealed it, so it's not really much of a surprise. Ooh, that new ratchet actually looks pretty cool. Yeah, change up the bags. Change up the bags. That's interesting. So there's the blade, there's the ratchet. Yeah, the bags are a bit different now. It's interesting. Alright, let's get all the parts laid out and go over them in more detail. Alright, here's all the parts from Ticera Press. So let's first have a look at the blade itself. Love that gear chip. That looks really, really cool. So this is a BX Beyblade, so the launch hooks are metal. So the launch hooks on this one are actually quite a bit bigger than normal. If I just bring in, say, Musclesaurus that I just looked at, so you can see the launch hooks are a lot bigger than normal. Ticera said that the main reason they made the launch hooks bigger on this one, so just to add a bit more reinforcement, but also just to add more weight, which is definitely a main weakness of the defense types at the moment. The weight is just not great, with the exception of a few, but still, really, really nice blade. Cannot wait to see what this can do. And as you can see, the plastic and the metal actually split. Because normally with blades, it's pretty consistent all around with the plastic and metal distribution. But with this one, the plastic's actually going up more. So that's going to lead to some really interesting contact in the stadium. So you're going to be making probably more plastic contact, which is really, really cool. But still really, really nice. Can't wait to get into this. Now for the other parts. So we have a brand new ratchet known as M-85. So M-85, as you can probably tell, stands for metal. And wow, this thing weighs quite a bit. So as you can see, the metal is integrated kind of like in like a ring around the core, which is pretty interesting. Now it's an 85 ratchet, so it's going to be sharing the same height as a standard 85, as you can see. But the contact points are definitely quite different. This is definitely more of a 580, I guess you could say. Just really interesting to see. But the locking mech is pretty much very similar to the 85 ratchet, as you can see. But yeah, this is pretty heavy. The 85 height isn't really going to help it much. I mean, if it was maybe 70 or 60, it probably would have been better. But I'm interested to see how this ratchet goes, because it might have some potential. Now, it will be interesting to see if the other metal ratchets that they'll eventually make will have different contact points, because that definitely might be the defining feature of these new ratchets. But still, really cool. Love seeing the metal on the ratchets now. And finally, for the bit, we have Bound Spike. Now, this is not a new part. We first got this in the Nightmail customized set, but this is its first release since that, which is honestly pretty cool. So, if you've been after this part, well, you can actually get it quite more affordably now. Now, Bound Spike is essentially, you got a little nub, and it's on essentially a flat tip. So it's going to have some interesting performance overall. But probably the main feature with Bound Spike is it more sort of bounds from the ratchet. So you're going to have some really interesting performance, especially if you're going to be launching on an angle. Now, granted, the main drawback with Bound Spike is that due to it protruding out more of the ratchet, you're going to be more susceptible to bursting. So, sorry about that cut, but yeah. You're going to be more susceptible to bursting with using Bound Spike, especially if you're using the taller ratchets. But still, it's still nice to get Bound Spike outside of the customized set if you've been after that part. Alright, let's do some weights for this bay. So we're going to start off with the Bound Spike. So this weighs 2 grams exactly. Alright. Now, the M-85 ratchet. Let's see how much this weighs. 10.57 grams. That is now the heaviest ratchet available. Just for comparison, 385. This weighs 4.63 grams. So, this is twice the weight of that, which is crazy. So, you're really heavy. That will be really interesting to see how that goes. Finally, for the blade, let's see how much this weighs. Actually, feels quite heavy in the hand. 36.45 grams. That is really good. 36 is definitely on the higher end. Not like 37 plus beyond, but 36.45 is a fantastic weight, especially for a defense type. So let's put this all together. So, enough to like that, and then put on the bit. There's the full combo. So all together, this weighs 49.01 grams. So yeah, that's a very nice healthy weight for this bay. It'll be interesting to see how this metal ratchet goes, especially with Bound Spike, but yeah, let's give this a test. Okay, so now I'm gonna try a different combo with Ticera Press. It doesn't want to do very well on me, apparently, with its stock combos. So I'm gonna give it a go with 560 Hexa. I'm thinking the five ratchet might actually do well with lining up with the plastic. But let's give it a go. So that is it for my look at Ticera Press. I'll be honest, I do have some mixed feelings about this blade, like this Beyblade. Now, I will say the blade does have some interesting potential, but I'm not really too sure what that potential is. It doesn't really do well as a defense type with its stock combo. It does struggle as a balance type with 560 Hexter that I tested. And it even struggles me in an attack type with Rush, with Rush that I just tested near the end of the video there. So I'm really not too sure on what you would be able to use this with. Now, granted, the testing I just did was pretty limited, so might need to do some more testing to figure this out. Now, for the other parts, I mean, Bounce Spike's not great. I mean, it's not a great part. So that's kind of the reason why you don't really see it much. As for M-85, I mean, it's usable, but again, the taller height doesn't really help it that much. If this gets to a lower height, it might be more useful. But I'll be honest, at the moment, it's definitely a mixed opinion on this, at least for me. I'll have to do some more testing on this to see if it's more viable. But that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Beyblade X videos in the future, and I'll see you all in the next video.